You know, in the world of high-stakes leadership, there's this secret ratio, a biological system that's quietly pulling the strings, deciding who stays in power and who gets completely overthrown. Most of us, we think we have to pick a side. You're either liked or you're feared. But the real physics of human status, well, it tells a much more complex and, honestly, a way more interesting story. All right, let's dive into this hidden system, the anatomy of the dominance-prestige balance.
This quote right here? Yeah, this is the central paradox. It's the tightrope every single leader walks, whether they know it or not. If you lean too far into love, into being the cool boss, guess what? You become irrelevant. Your authority just kind of melts away. But if you lean too far into fear, that whole iron fist thing, you're really just building a team that's counting the days until they can stab you in the back. Getting this balance wrong isn't some small mistake. It's a fatal flaw for any leader. Let's really unravel why that is.
You know, this failure to manage the balance, it's not just a theoretical problem. It actually has a formal name, the erosion of executive sovereignty. And put simply, it's just the process by which a leader's authority slowly dissolves into thin air. It's that sinking feeling you get when you realize you've lost the room, when all your good intentions are somehow leading to just disastrous results. This is where the physics of power become painfully real.
And this slide just perfectly captures the two dead ends of leadership. On one side, you've got the nice leader. We all know this person, right? The well-meaning manager who just wants to be everyone's friend. For them, deadlines are just polite suggestions. And when a real crisis hits, their authority is gone. Poof! No one takes them seriously. Then, on the other side, you have the screamer. This is the leader who rules by pure intimidation. Sure, the team might do what they're told, but they're running on fear, not loyalty. They are just waiting for the first opportunity to escape. Both of these leaders are failing, but for completely opposite reasons. And that feeling of failure, it has a specific diagnosis: status instability. It's not just a sign of bad management, it's a signal that you are fundamentally misunderstanding human nature. It means you're only playing one half of the status game. You're trying to win this complex dual-system competition with a simple, one-dimensional strategy. And it just can't work. It's impossible.
So, here's the crucial point. Your team, really any group, isn't looking for a buddy or a dictator. They are biologically hardwired to crave two very specific things from a leader. First, they want direction. This comes from prestige, your expertise, your skill, your vision. It's the reason they follow you in the first place. Second, they crave protection. And this comes from dominance, your ability to enforce the rules, maintain standards, and basically shield the group from chaos. When you fail to provide both of those, you create that status instability we were just talking about. Okay, so this brings us to the core mechanic behind real influence. It's called the Aversion-Attraction Loop. And look, this isn't some tactic you just deploy, it's a dynamic you have to understand. It's the hidden system that the most effective leaders naturally use to blend respect and fear into this potent, sustainable form of loyalty.
So I want you to pay close attention here, because what we're about to break down, this is the leverage point. This is the sequence that separates the leaders who are just in charge from those who truly lead. It is the mechanism that creates unshakable influence.
Let's get out the roadmap and see how this actually works. The loop unfolds in 4 distinct stages, and they have to happen in this order. It all starts with the value anchor, which is grounded in your prestige. Then, only when necessary, it moves to the pressure spike, a controlled burst of dominance. This creates a really specific state of mind in your team called the cognitive mismatch, which then resolves into the calibration payoff, a powerful earned kind of loyalty. Okay, let's break down each one of these steps.
Stage 1 is the value anchor. This is your foundation. Everything, and I mean everything, is built on this. You establish your right to lead not because of your title, but through your undeniable expertise. You become what's known as the informational node. The group just instinctively follows you because you have the answers, you have the skills, you have the map to get them where they need to go. This is pure prestige. They want what you know.
Now, once that value anchor is set, something has to happen when the group loses focus or a standard gets breached. That's stage 2, the pressure spike. The leader pivots, right, from being the helpful expert to the enforcer of standards. This isn't about yelling. It can be as subtle as direct eye contact, a lower voice, or just making consequences unmistakably clear. And that action, that is what creates stage 3, the cognitive mismatch. The team experiences this kind of system error. They're thinking, wait, I love this person's guidance, but I also really respect their edge. That tension is absolutely crucial. It prevents everyone from getting complacent, and it keeps the boundaries crystal clear.
And that tension leads directly to stage 4, the calibration payoff.
See, after the pressure spike, the leader doesn't stay in dominance mode. They go back to their prestige baseline, back to being the helpful expert. And the team feels this profound sense of relief, and that relief hardens into a very unique kind of bond, relief-based loyalty. They start working harder not just out of respect for your skill, but also out of a healthy fear of letting you down. The balance is achieved. So we've seen how the loop works. Now let's explore why it works. Because this isn't just some pop psychology. It's rooted deep in our evolutionary biology. Our brains are literally wired with two separate pathways for giving status to other people. And if you can understand them, you can understand power. This slide just breaks it down perfectly. The prestige pathway, that's a system of attraction. When you show your expertise, you trigger the dopamine reward system in other people's brains. They feel good learning from you. Following you is literally rewarding. In this mode, you are the goal. The dominance pathway, though, that's a system of aversion. It lights up the amygdala, the brain's threat detection center. It reminds people that, hey, you're a high-status person who shouldn't be crossed. In this mode, you're not the goal. You are the obstacle that has to be respected and carefully navigated. And you can see this dynamic visually right here. An effective leader is constantly toggling between these two systems inside their team's brains. They're lighting up the dopamine system with their value and their expertise, creating this kind of gravitational pull. But they're also ready to activate the amygdala to enforce standards, which creates a necessary push. It is a constant neurological tug-of-war, and the leader is the one controlling the rope.
So, why are our brains even built this way? Well, it boils down to a survival shortcut called the heuristic of strength. It's basically a mental rule of thumb our ancestors developed. Think about it. Evolutionarily, our tribe didn't just need a leader who was smart enough to find food. We also needed a leader who was strong enough to fight off the lions and protect our stuff from rivals. So we instinctively look for leaders who are both smart enough to get the win and strong enough to keep the win. That's the biological reason behind this whole prestige dominance balance.
Okay, so this is all fascinating theory, right? But how do we actually apply it? How do you deal with these dynamics when you're on the receiving end? This is about shifting from being a passive follower to an active auditor of the system. It's all about reclaiming your agency, and it starts with a really simple audit. And this is it. This is the central question of the entire audit. Everything hangs on this one question. You have to ask yourself and be honest. Is the value I'm getting from this leader, the mentorship, the growth, the knowledge, is it worth the pressure, the stress, the exertion of their dominance? It's a straight-up cost-benefit analysis of power. The process for doing this is methodical. It's 3 steps. First, you have to label the shift. When you feel that pressure spike from a leader, consciously identify it in your head. Okay, this is a dominance move. Just naming it keeps your rational brain online and stops you from reacting purely on emotion. Second, you run that value versus exertion audit we just talked about. Is the trade-off worth it? And third, if the balance is off, if the dominance is outweighing the prestige, you move to the final step. Neutralize the pressure. Now here's something really important to remember during your audit. It's a simple, stark rule. When the fear of a leader is the only thing left, when you can't even remember the last time you learned something valuable from them or felt inspired by them, the prestige has died. It's over. The balance is completely broken. At that point, you're not in a productive leadership dynamic anymore. You're just in a system of coercion.
So what does it actually mean to neutralize the pressure? Well, it's not about confrontation. It's about rebalancing the entire equation by changing your own value. You increase your own prestige. This means mastering a critical skill no one else has. It means you volunteer for that high-risk, high-reward project and you absolutely crush it. It means becoming the person who has the data when everyone else just has opinions. You make yourself so essential to the team's success that you become someone they cannot afford to lose. And the effect of this is powerful. You force the leader to change their strategy. They can no longer use fear to manage you. They have to use respect to keep you. You've just changed the physics of the system.
And for any leaders listening right now, this brings us to a crucial strategic point. Dominance should never be a tool for your ego. From a purely practical standpoint, it should only ever function as a guardrail. Its only purpose is to keep the team on track, to protect the standards, to ensure the group succeeds. When your firmness is seen as a protective measure for the whole team, it's accepted. But when it's seen as a tool for your personal power, it just breeds resentment and eventually betrayal. So, let's bring all of this together. We've dissected the biological roots of power, the mechanics of influence, and the strategy for navigating it. So what does this all mean for you? It really points to a new mantra for how to build real, lasting influence in pretty much any field. Here it is. boiled down into a single, powerful concept: respect, which is built on your prestige and your value. That's the engine. That's what drives everything forward. It's the reason people want to follow you. But fear, or maybe more accurately, a deep respect for boundaries and consequences, that's the guardrail. It's not the point of the journey, but it's what keeps the car from flying off the road. You need both to get anywhere meaningful.
And this leaves us with a final provocative thought. In the end, just being aware of this system is what collapses the old way of thinking. Understanding these dynamics gives you a choice. The path to unshakable influence isn't about being the nicest person in the room, and it's definitely not about being the toughest. It's about becoming so undeniably valuable that you earn the right to set the terms. So don't just be an expert who refuses to be ignored.